Welcome back, everyone. In this video, we are going to start working on breaking out this nested route of shop. Inside of shop, we have mainly two different routes. We have the base route, which shows these different collection previews of our categories. And similarly, deeper down into the shop route, we also have the individual routes that point to each specific category that shows all the products inside of it. So here, hats shows all of the hats. And of course, jackets shows all of the jackets. But notice how this value is dynamic. Well, we're going to learn all of that in this upcoming section. But the first thing we want to do is just figure out how to build this base section for our shop page. So let's go back to the application. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new component that is a preview of a category. So of course, I'm going to call this category preview. Inside of this folder, we need to set up our base files. So I'm going to make a category preview.styles.sass. And I'm also going to make a category preview-component.jsx. Nothing new here. The component is going to import in the style sheet. And then we're just going to set up some base component. Category preview equals a functional component. And we're just going to export by default category preview. Now let's think about what this category preview is going to do. So this category preview is going to live at the shop component level. Inside of shop component, what we're going to do is we're still going to receive this categories map because we need to generate a separate preview for each of these different categories. So that means that whatever's inside needs to receive both the title so that it can generate the appropriate H2 title. And then it needs to create the appropriate container that shows the first four objects. So that means that for our category preview, we can anticipate that we will receive both a title string as well as a products array. Then what we're going to return back is we will return a div. And inside of this div is going to be the content. So as always, we have an outer containing element, and we always tend to call these the category, or the name of the component at least, dash container. And once we have this now, let's think about what goes inside. So we know we have to display the title. So I'm going to make an H2, and this H2 is going to contain a span. And within the span is where I'm going to have the title, and I'm going to uppercase it. Now you might be wondering, why is it that we have a span inside the H2? Well, remember, this H2 becomes clickable. It becomes a nav link for us. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that this only is clickable on the text, not the H2. The way that we're going to set up this container is that it's going to use Flexbox. So that's going to actually make it so that the entire H2 spans across the entirety of the width, which we don't want. We don't want all of that clickable. We just want the span. And you'll see once we actually add in the styling. So I'm going to add a class name here of title. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a div. And in this div, this is where it's going to contain all of the actual products. So this I'm going to give a class name of preview. And then what we'll do is we'll take the products array we receive. And remember, we want to filter out anything but the first four. So here, what I'm going to say is that I want to get some callback. This callback is going to get the product, which I'm going to ignore. So I'm going to use an underscore saying that I don't want to use it. And then the second argument of this is the index, which is the index inside of the array. So the placement in the array, first element being index 0, second being index 1, third being index 2, etc. and onwards. And what we want to say is that we want to filter it out if the index is greater than 4. So we'll say, hey, keep it if the index is less than 4. Because greater than 4, as we remember with filter, whatever evaluates to being false is what gets thrown away. So here we're saying, hey, as long as the index is less than 4, so the first 4 indexes, because it starts from 0, I want you to keep these products. And then after we filter them out, then we can map through them. So here we pretty much just do what we had before. We're going to take our product and then we're going to pass it to some product card component that we need to import in. So let's import in product card from the product card component folder and file. And here inside, we're just going to render the product card. And of course, we're going to give it the key of the product ID. And then product goes to product. Now, again, inside of your preview styles, I've included the file for you. So please copy and paste that from your resources folder. So now that we have this pasted in, what we need to do now is use this category preview component. So here, let's import this back into our shop component. And here we can just say, instead of importing the product card, we're not doing that anymore. We're importing directly the category preview, which will replace the need for a lot of what we have inside now. Let's just say category preview goes up one more into components / category preview component. And now what we can do is start replacing this code. So instead of this fragment, I'm going to use a div. And for this div, I'm going to give it a class name of shop container. And then inside of here, we don't need all of this fragment code. What we do need, though, is we need the actual object keys. So let me also fix this, because instead of doing one line return, we now need to do multi-line. The reason for this is because I need to set the products to a const, because I want to get this out of my categories map using the title. And then what I'm going to return is this category preview, which we've already determined needs to utilize. First, I'm going to pass the key for the title. I'm going to pass it a title, which is the title. And then I'm going to pass it products, which is products. So now, if I save this, get rid of the need for the fragment up here. If we go back to our application, here we see it. Everything is as we want it to be. So we have our previews showing our 4 different elements. Awesome. So this is our preview. What we need to do now is actually start building out the next route, which is where when you click this title, it takes you to the corresponding shop/hats route and shows the full collection. So let's figure out how to split up our nested routes now that we have our collection preview in the next video.